All right, well, we're here for the annual Preservation Award. The Brimhall home here has been lovingly restored, as they say. It's still a work in progress, but they certainly have done a great job on it.
Thank you.
Thanks. Your certificate.
Thank you.
All right, on behalf of the Historic Preservation Committee in Boulder City, we are very proud to give you this honor of an award. And you can place it on your home, which has been so beautifully maintained and restored.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I'm Blair Davenport, and I'm a member of the Boulder City Historic Preservation Committee, and we're here with the Brimhalls. You are...
I'm Hillary Brimhall.
And I'm Josh Brimhall.
Nice to meet you, and thank you for inviting us to your home this morning. This year, the Brimhalls home at 1342 Denver Street is the award winner for the Boulder City Historic Preservation Committee's award. And it was recognized based on the great care that y'all took in renovating the property. It was one of the first homes built in 1931, built by the Bureau of Reclamation, which is the federal agency responsible for the building of Hoover Dam and current management of Hoover Dam. The home is listed on the National Register. It has been since 1983, thank you. And it continues to contribute to the National Register, so into the Boulder City Historic District. Your renovation helped maintain the historic character of the Denver Street neighborhood. There's a lot of really cool homes on Denver Street, and yours is, I think, one of the great gems of this neighborhood. And you guys did a great job in preserving a bunch of the historic character defining features of the home, which I'm sure you're going to talk about later. So, as I said, the home was built in 1931. What's the history of the property that you know of?
So here on Denver Street, they built every other house. So the first houses in Boulder City were on Denver Street and Park Street, and they built every other house, and then they filled in after that. So there's 6 houses, I believe, here on Denver Street that were the first houses. And actually, I have, when our previous owners took down the drywall in our kitchen, we actually found, well, we didn't, they gave it to us. They found where the builder had signed. So if you put it together, and I can show the camera, it's actually in pencil.
Cool.
So it says first 12 houses built in Boulder City by, and then the name is really hard to read because of how it's cut. But it was installed September 17th, 1931 by J.W. Dickinson, Lehigh, Utah. So that was where the company was headquartered that built our house.
Very cool.
And I wish I could read his name, but I can't. It says...
So here on the National Register, it says the architect was W.W. Dickerson? Does it?
This is J.W. Dickinson.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not sure if maybe that was...
That's maybe wrong.
Yeah, I'm thinking this would be the correct version of that.
I think you're right, yeah.
But yeah, eventually I'd like to get this glued together and hang it. But I just think it's pretty amazing.
That's awesome.
That we found this. Again, not we did, previous owners did, but he was really wonderful in sharing the renovation pictures and anything they had found. So
the previous owners they're the ones who started the renovation?
They started the renovations,
okay.
Yes. They started the renovations in 2002.
Okay.
And one of them passed away before everything was finished.
Okay.
So the owner, Chris, that we bought the house from, he held on to it for sentimental reasons and rented it out for a few years, and then finally was able to part with it. And we were really grateful that we were able to buy it then. And he's since visited, and he gave us the plans of everything they had intended to do with it. So
neat.
we followed along in a lot of what he had started, they had started. And so he came by once with his mom, and we were able to show him how we had continued their dream. And it meant a lot. Like, I get a little emotional about it because they really had great plans for the house, and they loved the house so much. And
Are
so,
they still alive? Or
so
is he?
he is.
Sorry,
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
The partner, like I said, had passed away. And Chris shared that they had the memorial actually in the house because they loved the house so much. So
does he know that you guys won the Historic Preservation
I haven't
Award?
contacted him about it yet, but I will be. Yes.
I bet he'll be super pleased,
Yeah,
super
I think
proud.
it'll be
so
really happy
cool.
for him. So so yeah.
Any other history about the property? I mean, before Chris or...
So I do know that this is just funny. My mom is actually, my mom moved here in 1956 from Australia.
Oh, wow.
Because my great aunt, her family had moved here in 1940.
Oh.
So my grandpa then followed with his family from Australia, and he was stationed there in the war. I met my grandma, and that was how that happened.
Wow, that's a story.
So yeah,
of
so that's a
itself.
different story. So my mom moved here in 1956, and she, when we were buying the house, actually it was a little bit after we had purchased the house, she realized that this was the house that her prom date lived in 1965. So we just thought that was kind of fun that we had that connection to the house. But
Cool.
other than that, I don't really.
And you mentioned earlier that you went to the Boulder City History.
Yeah, we had gone
Museum.
to the archives and tried to find the name of the original occupant, but we haven't had any luck with that. No one, for some reason, we know like everyone around us except this house. But yeah, we love the historical roots of the house.
Yeah, it's not only the historic roots of the people who lived here, but the roots of the home within Boulder City. It's just amazing. So describe the preservation and the renovation project. As far as what exactly did you, I guess before you, what were the owners doing? Did they gut it? Did they
It hasn't
add
been
things,
gutted.
subtract things?
Some rooms have. The kitchen. I mean, you certainly gutted the kitchen. You know more about that than I do.
They did, yes, they took down walls. They've taken, we have exposed brick. We have the original exposed brick in the kitchen.
Okay.
They took down the drywall. It's been opened up inside. The floor plan's a lot more open than it was. They did some more modern feature where, when the house was first built, rooms were small, and the rooms were still small, but everybody shared the one bathroom. And so they just kind of changed the way our hall is so that we have a master bath and not the shared family bathroom. And then there's just a little powder bath. It is a small house.
Yeah.
But they really did a nice job of, I guess, using the space wisely and opening it so it doesn't feel as small as it actually is.
Okay.
And then we've changed out some flooring. Our biggest project, which turned into one of our biggest projects, I just wanted to change door handles. Because the knobs I wanted some more period knobs. And so we started that project, and that project really snowballed into the doors had to be, what was the word that?
Well, yeah. I mean, like I was telling Ray before, it's hard to find people who are willing and interested to work on a house that's old. So that's always a struggle. Is it worth their time and investment? Sometimes it's not even a money issue necessarily for us. It's just finding somebody who has the knowledge to change out a door jamb and keep certain things the way they were without changing it drastically enough that now we've lost that period of when the home was built.
Right.
So just changing out doorknobs turned into a 2-month project of now the door had to be changed. The door jamb needed to be adjusted. And just finding people who are willing to do that with the time and care it needs is it's difficult sometimes. So yeah, it took a long time to just do that, let alone some of the bigger jobs with the exterior.
Yeah.
It's it's not hard to find somebody who's willing to just destroy an area and recreate it in a more modern, efficient way. It's hard to find someone who may need to spend twice as much time fixing something because we want to keep it period for the house.
So how to describe that process? Did you like talk to somebody and they're like, oh, I can't do that, maybe this guy will do it, or I mean, there's not you can't go in the phone book and look up preservationist, right?
And that's the process. It's just, oh, I know a guy, and they give you a number, and then you call the number, and hopefully that guy gets back to you, and if he does get back to you, hopefully he's not busy doing something else, not doing something where he is spending 3 weeks to do a door jam, and then you wait, and then it's a process. And that's one thing that hopefully the Historic Preservation Committee could maybe put together a list for homeowners like ourselves that could maybe shorten that process. Somewhere right away we could go, oh yeah, well, we want to change our windows in the front of our home. Who could we call first that would at least facilitate that? That's
a great idea.
Yeah, I mean that would have been
so
really
helpful.
Yeah. We would go through a lot of different numbers and names, and you start with your big Home Depot and Lowe's, and they come out and they say, no, we can't touch that. It's just too much work. It's not worth our time.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter all the money you got. Even if you have a lot of money or a little money, it's not just worth it. We can't do that. It's not worth our time. But here's a guy, and then you call that guy, and then 2 months later, you finally get a hold of somebody to at least come out and look at it. But if there was
and then most of the time that person that comes out is like, oh, actually, no. I thought it was going to be blah, 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 but no, I'm sorry. I know somebody, and then
just having
kind of continues.
Having a meted out list would be great.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's a process.
Yeah.
So part of it can be enjoyable when it actually works out, and part of it can be a dead end. And you think, well, maybe we're not ever going to be able to change those front windows because of the way they're built, and we'll just have to decide ultimately what to do about that.
Did you ever think that you would have to do some other work, or did you even consider that
I've started changing out some of the electrical switches.
Okay.
I've added some push button switches that were turn of the century. Obviously they're the newer versions at this point, but everything about them is the same style that they look at. Instead of a toggle switch, it's a push button.
Yep.
Some of the easier things we can do, but some stuff you don't want to get over your head.
Sure.
Because it is history, and once you ruin something, it's ruined. So you want to be very careful about how you go about that.
Yeah.
There's also just a lot of, like, our walls are plaster. So that's a challenge in itself. You can't just hang up a picture. Like, you need to take into consideration, well, is that going to crack here? And then then it's hard to find someone who can come in and fix that once you've messed that up.
Yeah.
So there's just things that they come up that you aren't thinking of at the time. And that brings me back to, the door handle thing. I just thought, oh, these are such pretty door handles that I found online. They're from the 1930s. I would love to put these in. And that turned into, well, now we need new doors. And then that turned into, well, now we need to change the framing. Like, it just snowballs when you think it's just a fun little project. But again, when it's done, we're so grateful and thankful that, oh, that was such a process, but look at what it turned into. This is so amazing.
Yeah, yeah. The exterior, do you think the exterior was easier to work on, or about the same issues you had? I noticed you changed the windows, or you updated some of the windows.
Some of the windows, yeah, like Josh had mentioned, the only windows that we've got actually two original. We have an original in the bathroom, and we have an original by the front, and then the front windows are original. All the other windows have been switched out to be more energy efficient. And when they're square windows, it's easy.
Sure.
We have the arched windows in the front, which, as we have now found from numerous people that we've been out, they were obviously handmade at the time, and now machines make the windows, and there is no machine, according to everyone we've had, that can do the circumference of the arch. So they've suggested making it one piece that doesn't open. One person suggested squaring them, which I would never do.
Sheesh.
But actually, you can see where someone years ago on our street had actually done that.
Yeah.
And you can see that it was the same house as ours, and now they have the square windows, which I love the arch windows, and I would never change
So
them.
unique.
So we'll just continue paying high energy bills, high electrical bills for heating and cooling until we can find a way to replace them that would be appropriate.
Yeah.
And they would. I don't want you to be able to tell that we were changing them out. The other windows you can't really tell. They're easy rectangular windows that can look like the originals.
Yeah.
We repainted. I know there were some changes that the previous owner had made, which you can't see on camera, but just bringing all of the electrical into one place so it's not everywhere on the house. They added that top part, which I love that feature. And then I think that's pretty much all that they had done to the front. Oh, and changed out the front door.
Okay.
And then we've done a lot of the landscaping.
Okay.
I love roses. I also really love the history of Boulder City with how it's green Boulder City, like how important the parks and everything were
The landscaping
to the city. I've done, I know about Wilbur Weed and all of the work that he did. And so I changed out some of the landscaping that had been changed to more modern plant.
Okay.
I think roses are a classic.
They are.
Just there's nothing better to me than a beautiful rose.
Sure.
And so we have roses back into the front now.
Okay.
And just trying to showcase what would have probably been period 1931 type of landscape.
Very cool. So you described your project or the renovation and the work was done. Any other challenges in your preservation work besides finding people to be sensitive to preserving your home or
I don't think so, other than financially. It's obviously more expensive than a new build where you can just go down and buy something at Home Depot or Lowe's. This does take not only time to research and figure out what is appropriate, but it just tends to be a little more expensive as well. So I get we've said that it's nice that it is such a small house. Because if it was twice as large, the price of fixing things would be twice as much.
Sure.
So we are appreciative of the small space that we have that allows us then to rehabilitate things the way they need to be done.
Yeah, that makes sense. What are you most proud of your work, of your preservation project?
Oh, I don't know.
That's probably a you question. I mean, you like the landscaping.
I do love the landscaping. I love the inside too. I mean, I really just I love our house a lot. I don't know what I'm most proud of. I mean, just overall, I'm biased, of course, but I just have a sense of peace and happiness when I'm at our house, which I think does have a lot to do with the landscaping. I love plants. I love our landscaping, and it's a lot of work, but it's rewarding for me. And yeah, I can't think of one thing overall. It's just a feeling that I get with our house.
Awesome. So why is historic preservation important to you?
Well, I think it's a bigger conversation about the city of Boulder City, and how important, there's a fly, sorry, how important Boulder City is to the United States. I mean, we contribute to our country with the dam and the building of the dam and how amazing that project was. And so I feel like Boulder City is a really important town. And the houses that people lived in when they were working on such an important project, they mean a lot. And so they do need to be preserved and kept up. And I hope that everybody who lives in one of the historic houses loves it as much as we love our house, and cares enough to take care of it the way it needs to be cared for.
You're speaking as if you're quite the ambassadors to Boulder City and historic preservation, and I totally appreciate that.
Well,
That's awesome.
it is really important to both of us.
Any advice for others here in Boulder City if they want to embark on a preservation project or want to continue to preserve their home?
Yeah, be patient. I mean, it takes patience. It's like we discussed before. You can't just pick up the phone and expect to get somebody out here to fix a almost 100-year-old window. It's going to take time. You have to track people down and really find out what the best way to go about it is. And really just, do it. I mean, there's enough homes in this city that are ready for that. We just need the people to be willing to do it. Because it's easy to not preserve something, unfortunately. So being patient and sticking to that and adhering to that preservation mindset, that's the advice I would give to people.
And I agree.
We're just a unique city in Las Vegas, so we should try to preserve it as best we can. There's a reason people come out here every weekend to hang out and see the parks. Yeah.
Do you, how often do you get people, like you were mentioning, people in your alley kind of get lost?
Every weekend.
So do you ever have the opportunity to talk about
Yeah,
your home
sometimes I'm out in the front doing yard work and people will ask me questions. Every weekend people drive by and you see them stop. Some people take pictures of the houses on the street.
And you don't mind that?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No, not at all. I mean, no, I'm proud of our house.
Yeah,
I'm happy when I'm like, oh, someone's admiring our house. Like, yeah, no, that makes me happy. And then I think that does then contribute to what we were talking about before with, if people are visiting our city and stopping and taking pictures of these houses, like, that means something. This is important. And so that people living here need to really realize that and keep things up. But yeah, I agree with the advice would just be, I think people should do it. I mean, I would really love for, like Josh was saying, there are so many houses that are ready for someone to love them and to bring them back to life. We have a great opportunity here where we can really make the historic Boulder City an amazing place again. And instead of just a handful of houses here and there, like, it would be so wonderful if every house you looked at and you're like, wow, that is an amazing house. That is an amazing house. That is an amazing house.
And that's an amazing neighborhood, and that's an amazing street. And yeah, there's a cohesion there that is super important.
Yeah. So,
Great.
yeah, I hope more people do it.
Well, those are all the questions I have. And thank you so much again for speaking with us and the wonderful work you did on your home.
Thank you for the award.
And promoting historic preservation. You totally deserve the award.
Well,
thank you so much.
It means a lot, and I was so excited when I saw that we won before you guys contacted me when I was watching your meeting.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. I always watch the historic preservation meetings.
Oh, good.
Or I read the packet and agenda. But, yeah, I turned to Josh as you guys were taking your vote, and I was like, I think we might win this year. We have a couple votes already. I think we might win. So I was really excited.
Well, thank you for supporting historic preservation, the Historic Preservation Committee, and keep up the good work. I really appreciate that. And we're going to be...
We appreciate the committee and all of the work the committee does.
We try.
And like I said, we watch your meetings, so I know how much work goes into being a member of the committee. So
Well, if we ever
Yes.
need anyone, we're
So.
going to call you guys. But thank you, and
Great.
have a great day.
Thanks.
You too.
You too.
Bye now.